What was I about to say? Oh, so when the model is there in front of me during a photo shoot, I pretty much know what's the best angle to capture them in because I go over the com cards or their portfolio. Any model, whether they have a lot of experience or no experience, I usually let them freestyle and see what they can do. And then I try to realize what's repetitive and if they're doing the same poses or the same like just gestures. And then if I feel like it's just getting boring, then I'll start directing them. But if not, and I feel like they know what they're doing, then I just allow them, after explaining what I want from them, I just let them do their thing because, you know, as a photographer, I don't like when people tell me what to do. I accept advice and critique, but I wouldn't want to just keep telling them what to do. And then, you know, it's not something that they feel like, you know, as a model works. So it's like a whole collaborative thing. Those are human beings too, so you don't need to be rude about the way how you're trying to project your idea. Also, another thing with working with models is that oh yeah, so communication is key, not just in relationships, also working with models, because for example, I've worked behind the scenes with a lot of photographers, and it's like they expect the model to do everything because they're quote unquote a model and they should supposedly know what they're doing. So then they just keep snapping a million photos and then they realize they didn't get the shot that they want, and that's just because they didn't communicate well with the model. And it's not necessarily the model's fault, it could be the photographer's fault. And I feel like if the photo sucks, it's not necessarily because of the model. It's your job as a photographer to, you know, be able to capture them in a good, you know, way.
True.
And so that always pisses me off because it's like, it could be, I don't think anyone's ugly, but it could be the most like unflattering person, but you could, as the photographer, make them look so good because you know how to light, you know how to do the composition, you know how to frame them well, you know their best angle. So in the end of the day, it's like that person, you know, to everyone else might not look good, but then you made them look good in that one photo. So like I said, it's a photographer and not the model, so no excuses on that. I saw this on a Facebook photography group forum. Someone asked like, how do you start, you know, taking photos of people? And it's just like, I see some people already know this, but people who don't, it's like, you just keep taking photos of people. You try to keep breaking that wall of like you being, you know, afraid and having that fear to communicate with people. That's the only way you can capture people's emotions and stuff, is by, you know, being able to get in there and photograph and like tell them, you know, what it is that you want to capture, but also it's like you don't want to just be there. Because I feel like the most compelling photos that people capture is when you know that there's a relationship between the photographer and the model or whoever they're photographing. I remember like one of my professors told me that the person that you can capture the best are your parents, because they are, you know, the closest people to you, and you can see it just by their facial expressions or through their eyes that, you know, that you being the one capturing them like shows like the closeness that you have or the relationship that you have, whoever it is. It doesn't, I mean, you could not have a close relationship with your family, but whoever's closest to you, the photo shows how close you guys are. But if you are a very distant interaction, like meaning like you don't make any conversation, you don't have any communication with the person that you're photographing, it just shows in the photograph. So communicate.
You know, do modeling, things like that. You just want enough of a conversation where you're able to make the model comfortable enough that she's able to trust you. Because when you have that trust, you know, it's a lot easier to create a cohesive photo as opposed to somebody who's just kind of like sitting there, who's quiet, making the model uncomfortable. And it's not just the model either. That goes with the entirety of your team. You know, if you have, you know, a makeup artist who is gonna be the most intimate with the model because she's working on her, you know, her face or her body and things like that, you know, you want somebody who is gonna be warm, who's gonna be receiving, who's able to hold a conversation. Because, you know, 9 times out of 10, your makeup artist is gonna be with the model for about an hour. So, you know, having a team that stresses the importance of communication as much as you do, is a really, really big, important thing too.
And you know, just keep shooting because you'll see progress than having the most expensive gear and then you don't really get to photograph, or you keep questioning why your photographs don't turn out how some other people have, and that's because you didn't practice or you weren't shooting a lot. You just have expensive stuff and you don't know how to use it. So learn how to use it, and then from there everything will like fall into place.